You've said yourself it's 30% robo-boxing and 70% human drama. And that makes it kind of a neat sort of trick to pull off, that sort of getting Johnny Cash in there alongside Arthur C. Clarke. Was that kind of easy, or was it a long process of figuring out the balance all the way through?
It was a constant balancing act, but I was vigilant that I just knew that if all we made was another robot movie, it's not inherently fresh. I needed it to be spectacular and viscerally violent in its fights and all of that, but I thought that the opportunity to be something different, the opportunity to make a movie that's more than just that was paramount. And so keeping that blend in my mind every day of the human story and the robot spectacle, every day, no matter how complicated the day was, that balance was my priority.
Of course, I think Hollywood's #1 rule is you never work with children, robots, or Rob Schneider. You got two of them in there.
I'm not going to be part of any slanderous talk towards Rob Schneider, who's a lovely, funny man.
He's a genius, a comic genius.
But yes, kids, robots. I've worked with animals. I've worked with every supposedly difficult thing. The truth is, directing is about getting a performance from every performer, and you literally find a different technique for every actor. And so in this case, directing Dakota, my kid actor, was one thing. Directing Hugh, directing my robots who were real and puppeteered via remote control. It's all part of the job. I love the job.
Well, you think of, obviously Transformers has made a few pennies at the box office, and Hasbro will be very, very, very happy with that. But when it came to Mattel, I'm guessing they would have had input here, because this is sort of the Rock'em Sock'em robots.
I think that they're probably incredibly dismayed because now they can't make a Rock'em Sock'em movie. This has nothing to do with Rock'em Sock'em.
Right, okay.
I mean, it's like people on the internet like to say, oh, the Rock'em Sock'em movie, but somewhere the makers of Rock'em Sock'em are weeping because Real Steel is based on a legendary science fiction story from the 50s. Has nothing to do with Rock'em Sock'em, and yet probably we have put a bullet in the head of any Rock'em Sock'em movie that was planned.
But when Spielberg bought the rights, and I know that you were saying the 1956 story Steel by Rob Madison is the main motive, kind of starting point here, but certainly that Rock'em Sock'em rights were bought at some point along the way, so they just got lost in the
I think that's
rewrites.
A different company.
Right.
I know nothing about Rock'em Sock'em other than that I remembered the toy. But I think it's like a whole other movie studio that has the rights to that. And when I read about it, I actually felt bad for them because I knew they'd never make their movie now.
This move for you, I think you've made Hollywood about 4.7 gazillion with your comedies, and this is sort of a move into a new ring, so to speak, for you. Was that part of the attraction that this was, not your traditional Shawn Levy film?
Yeah, no, it's. I'm thrilled at the success I've had in comedy. I've made the studio's money. That is what you are paid to do. That's the job. I make movies for audiences, and thankfully my movies have found those audiences. But I've been waiting for the chance to move into a different ring, to flex different muscles. I don't know how far we want to go with these boxing metaphors. I really worked the heavy bag of a human drama.
I'll start listening to the theme to Rocky while you keep going.
Should we do that? Yeah. I was on that kind of of telling this kind of redemptive tale. But when the phone rang and I was given this chance, this was the moment, the kind of that pivot point that I have always hoped would come in my career. Because the careers I aspire to, Ron Howard, Zemeckis, Spielberg, there's not genre consistency, but there is a certain consistency of humanism, commercial, kind of populist entertainment.
When you have people like Spielberg and Zemeckis involved here, does that make you feel, well, I'm in the right world now, or do you sort of feel, well, these are the guys I'm aspiring to? Do you feel a little bit like you've got to live up to their expectation?
Both.
Right.
Both. I mean, you at first you're kind of like, what the fuck am I doing here? Can you use that or not?
You can use it. I can say it too. Fuck.
Really?
It's fine. Yeah.
Where is this
Ireland.
on TV?
This is Ireland.
Is there no rules?
No.
Wow.
Not since Father Ted broke all the rules. We can
so it's chaos up in Ireland?
It used to be just feck, but now we can say fuck. Especially to priests.
I don't want to abuse
priests and guards.
Oh my God! You're now getting into a whole area.
If a priest or guard approaches you, you've got to find a stranger straight away.
Okay, this banter's fantastic. I'm awake for the first time in an hour.
We go back to the film.
Literally, I can't remember where we were. Next question.
Zemeckis, Spielberg, but we'll
yes,
move on. Yeah.
I went from being daunted to wanting to frankly do justice to the faith they put in me. I mean, they gave me a huge opportunity here, and I wanted to make right on that. I wanted to make good on that.
I was thinking too, with the fact that you've earned, Hollywood so much money with, you think it's cheaper by the dozen, not the museum movies, Pink Panthers and Just Married. I don't know, for you, when you approach a film, whether you're thinking, well, this is a story that I know I can tell, or is a part of you thinking, I want to please a crowd here? I'm not about, making a small Belgian film about a sexually confused turnip. I want a lot of people to enjoy this ride.
Well, the truth is, I dream of making a small Belgian film about a sexually confused turnip.
I've written the script. I have it with me. I'll give it to you
we'll
later.
talk about that later, because it's like you've spoken my deepest desire and yearning.
The cauliflower's
kidding aside, I like big populist entertainment, so that's what I make. That's ever since I was in film school. My short student film got rejected by every film festival, but the people who loved it were the networks and the movie studios, and they started hiring me. It's just, you have to go where your sensibility takes you, and that's mine.
I know that because of the way this business works, DreamWorks have already announced that a sequel's been worked on for this, and that is, they always have to think ahead, and they have to assume, well, if this works, we definitely want to have something already in the pipeline. Is that something, I'm guessing Hugh is already committed to them on a contractual level, but would you yourself feel an obligation and want to go back, or do you feel, I've done this? And
No. Night at the Museum, Real Steel, these are my most precious babies, and there will never be sequels that I don't direct.
I've seen also, just when looking over, you've just directed a TV film, family album with no big stars, and I was wondering, that was a sort of surprise. Was that, again, maybe just flexing a different muscle, feeling a little bit, I want to just do something away from my normal...
You know what it was? I came up directing television episodes. So, it was a return to what I did for years before I started getting big movies. But it's the same reason I produce. I've got a TV division for my company. I'm producing things I'm not directing. Like my idols, Ron Howard, Zemeckis, and Spielberg, I like to be creative in a bunch of different areas, and that's what that's about.
I just noticed too. Sorry, my very last question. Tess and Sophie, they pop up here as sisters, and they're in Night at the Museum too. Would you be very, very, very happy if they step into this rough world, really? Because your ego has to be pretty hard.
I do not.
Right.
I do not, on any level, hope that they come into this crazy industry of mine. No, they, to be honest, they are good little actors. I'll use them when there's something appropriate. They do exactly what I tell them, and they're completely naturalistic, which is hard. In Real Steel, there's also my 3-year-old, Charlie, who gets like one of the biggest laughs in the movie. Once they grow up and know better, I hope they run as far away from this business as possible.
They'll become rockers. That's the way it works.
I would prefer the music industry.
Sweet.
Thanks.
Nice talk to you. Yeah.